Recently, Kyle Busch took a hot take on NASCAR's approval process for new drivers. He questioned how decisions are made and why some drivers get opportunities while others are held back. Busch has seen the inconsistencies firsthand and believes changes need to be made. So, what exactly did Busch say and why does it matter? Let's find out in today's episode. Las Vegas Motor Speedway is one of the most exciting tracks in NASCAR. The high speeds, the intensity of the restarts, and the unpredictability of the races make it a must-watch event every year. The track, located in the desert of Nevada, offers challenges that drivers must navigate to have a shot at victory. Kyle Busch has a deep connection with this track. Kyle Busch, driving the number 8 Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing, has a long history with Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He won his first race at this track back in 2009. Since then, he has remained one of the most competitive drivers whenever NASCAR returns to his home track. The track has changed over the years, and so has Busch's approach. He's adapted to new cars, different track conditions, and the evolution of racing strategies. One of the most crucial parts of any NASCAR race at Las Vegas is the restarts. In modern NASCAR, restarts are one of the best chances to gain positions. Once the race settles in and the cars spread out, passing becomes more difficult. This makes the first few laps after a restart incredibly intense. Kyle Busch has been called the king of restarts because of his ability to make up positions when the green flag drops. Las Vegas Motor Speedway is unique because of how the track conditions change throughout the year. NASCAR races here twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. The spring race has cooler temperatures, which means the track has more grip and the cars can go faster. The fall race, on the other hand, comes after the heat of the summer, which changes how the track feels. The bumps on the track are different, and drivers have to adjust their setups accordingly. Busch has experienced these changes firsthand and knows how important it is to adapt to the conditions.
I would say Vegas is challenging just because the time of the year. We're coming off of winter time for this race, obviously, cold weather, things like that, so the track reacts differently versus the fall race here. You're coming off of summertime, all the summer heat, the ground being hotter, the track being different, the bumps being different. So just kind of getting accustomed to all of those things and getting reacclimated with all of that. The springtime, the speeds are very high. I feel like you run a faster lap time in the springtime, and I feel like the aero deficiencies become greater in the springtime. The track doesn't quite widen out as much as you want it to. I feel like we have a greater sense of track wideness more so in the fall, but that could always change just depending on upwards in temperature on race day.
NASCAR has seen a lot of discussions about how drivers are approved to race in the Cup Series. The approval process determines who is allowed to compete at the highest level. Some drivers, especially those coming from other racing series, have been able to make their Cup Series debut and immediately perform well. This raises questions about how NASCAR should decide who gets approved. Busch has been vocal about the process, saying that it's been inconsistent.
I feel like I've questioned the approval process for a long, long time, being an owner in the truck series and seeing some young drivers get opportunities at different tracks versus my drivers that I was trying to get them opportunities at some of those same tracks getting denied. So I was very confused and probably am even more confused now on how it all works. So I think it's broken. I think there's a lot of work that could be done to make it better. I also do feel as though it shouldn't be suit and ties making the decisions always. Certainly there can be some that need to be involved, but I do feel like there needs to be fire suits involved in some of those decision-making processes on those that need to be approved or not approved for various activities.
Driver penalties are another topic that has been discussed a lot. NASCAR has a strict set of rules, and penalties are given when a driver breaks them. Sometimes penalties are clear-cut, like speeding on pit road. Other times they're more subjective. Busch believes that penalties should be decided by people who understand racing from a driver's perspective. He argued that penalties shouldn't be determined by executives who have never been behind the wheel of a race car. Instead, he thinks that other drivers should have a say in what's fair and what isn't.
And I'll even go so far to say, too, that I feel the same way on driver penalties, the Austin Cindric deal. I don't think suit and ties should be making that. I think you should get penalized by your peers.
Kyle Busch and his team have been working hard to improve their performance. In the early part of the season, they've already shown improvements. They have had several top 10 finishes, which is a good sign for their championship hopes. NASCAR seasons are long, and teams must stay competitive throughout the year. Busch has said that his car has been handling better than before, and that's allowed him to be more aggressive on the track. Every race is different, and teams are always making adjustments to stay competitive. Tracks like Phoenix, Martinsville, and Bristol all present different challenges. Some are short tracks with tight turns, while others are intermediate tracks like Las Vegas. The way a car performs at one track doesn't always translate to another. That's why teams collect data from each race and use it to improve for future events. Performance in NASCAR is about momentum. When a driver is consistently running in the top 10, it builds confidence for both the driver and the team. Over the past few races, Busch and his team at Richard Childress Racing have shown improvement. The cars have been handling better, and he's been able to compete at a higher level. He believes that if they continue making small gains, they'll soon be racing for wins.
Certainly, we've had some good races so far. We've had some good speed. We've had the cars driving much more to my liking than what we've had in past. So I've been able to get more from the race car as well, too. So that's all a net positive. So everyone at RCR should be proud of the efforts and all the things that we're doing behind the scenes to get us to where we're at right now. So grateful of that. I do feel like there's more to go get. You know, if we had the gains that we made at Phoenix from last year to this year, if we could have another step of that, you know, then there's going to be reason for us to race for wins.
In NASCAR, patience is a key factor. When Busch was winning frequently, he had more control over his emotions in high-pressure situations. But when wins become rare, the urge to push harder can sometimes lead to mistakes. The modern Cup Series is extremely competitive, with cars running within 1 second of each other. If a driver gets caught in the wrong lane, they can lose several positions in just one lap. This makes decision-making more critical than ever. Another important topic in NASCAR is track selection. Over the years, some tracks have been removed from the schedule, while others have been added. One of the most significant losses in recent years was the Auto Club Speedway in California. Busch has strong feelings about this track because he won the final race held there. The loss of a track in Southern California raises questions about the future of NASCAR in that region. While there are still smaller tracks in California, they do not attract the same level of interest. Busch understands that financial decisions often influence track closures, but he hopes NASCAR finds a way to keep the sport strong in that area.
Fontana was always one of my favorite places. I love that track. Even though it started off really rough for me of getting kicked out of there when I was 16 years old, it certainly ended very well winning the final race there a couple years ago. So that place has a special meaning in my heart. You know, all of Southern California does. I understand the Fontana piece, the land value is worth much more than what you were ever going to make in ticket sales. So eventually there becomes an economic decision. You know, it overpowers us being racers that want to go race at those tracks. It overpowers that.
Now, looking at the bigger picture, NASCAR continues to evolve. New drivers are constantly entering the series, while experienced drivers like Busch continue to adapt. And that's all we have for today's episode. Don't forget to give this video a like, smash that subscribe button, and also ring that notification bell for more upcoming uploads.